Hey everybody, so today we are going to talk about Pisces energy. Here's the card for it. And Pisces, okay, we'll start up with the rulership. Pisces, the modern ruler of Pisces is Neptune. The traditional ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. I think it's great to use both. I would recommend you do that. It's always good to have, more to flesh the story out with when you're chart weaving. It has an affinity for the 12th house. So if you have Pisces on the cusp of the 12th house, you don't want to think about natural as a natural sign on the 12th house. It does have an affinity for it, so it's usually pretty comfortable there. So in the case of the what, where, and how, the planet is what energy needs to be expressed. The house is the area of life or where that energy needs to be expressed, and the sign is the how. Pisces is a how because Pisces is a sign. So how does Pisces energy want to express itself? Pisces is very, very spiritual. Pisces is very, very creative. Pisces is very, very imaginative. And it's also very versatile. So it wants to express itself in all of these ways, or in some of these ways. In whatever chart you're weaving, it may or may not express itself in all of those ways, but these are things that Pisces energy, these are ways that Pisces energy does tend to want to express itself this way. So depending on, what planets fall in Pisces in your chart, or what house Pisces is on the cusp of, you might go about those areas of life in a more creative or versatile way. And those planets that are there might have a more spiritual or imaginative charge to them, wanting to express themselves that way, depending on what planet we're talking about and what that planet wants to express in the first place. So I mentioned versatile. Pisces is a water sign. It's also a mutable sign. All the mutable signs are flexible, but Pisces is probably the most flexible. I think that's because Pisces is the water sign of the bunch, and water takes no form, has no form of its own, on its own. It takes form based on what you put it in or what it's in. Pisces is kind of that way. Pisces is extremely versatile and fluid. So, and it's also kind of chameleon-like. Now, none of this is done on purpose. Pisces is also very unconscious. Pisces energy tends to express itself more unconsciously than consciously. So this fluidity, this versatility, even this changeability, it's not done like with Mercury and Gemini and the moon and in Cancer. The changeability there is not so unconscious. It's natural, but it's not necessarily unconscious. And the versatility and the, all of that kind of goes along with both of those. This is much more unconscious in nature. So let's say you've got somebody with Pisces on the cusp of the first house, or if you use Placidus, and it will be the first house cusp, whatever. Pisces is in the first house. This person may come at the world in kind of a shapeless way, waiting for the world to kind of give them the shape to take on. They're that makes them very sensitive to their environment, because they will kind of adapt to what the world needs from them. They will approach the world in a way that the world needs them to be. and this could be the case for, you know, any house that rules, that's ruled by Pisces. There's sort of a chameleon quality or a changeability to those areas of life. But it's especially noticeable, obviously, when it's on the first house cusp. The person may not notice it, but other people might notice that when they're around some people, they're one way. When they're around other people, they're another way. And they're not being fake or being disingenuous. It's just this energy is just so flexible and kind of can be molded to whatever the environment needs or whatever the area of life needs. So this energy is also very, very, very sensitive and very, very, very vulnerable. So is Cancer. I mentioned this in the Cancer video. It's and the Moon. They're very sensitive. I think I mentioned it most in the Cancer video though. It's very sensitive, very vulnerable. Difference is Cancer is deeply conscious energy. Pisces is not. So people like planets in Pisces may be more sensitive and more vulnerable than the person is aware. Is even fully consciously aware of. They might be more changeable than the person is consciously aware of. So that can, whereas, which also leaves this energy open more. Like Cancer, for instance, Cancer's aware. Cancer energy is aware that it is sensitive and it's vulnerable. And it either really I mean, it can do any shade of in between, but it either really embraces this or it puts a wall up. Pisces, there is really no putting a wall up because it doesn't know it might need to put a wall up in the first place. So, my advice would be making Pisces energy more conscious in some way is probably a good thing. And we all have Pisces somewhere in our chart, so that's probably a good thing to try to do. Try to understand the motives, you know, with Pisces energy in your chart, and whoever's chart your chart weaving for is probably a good thing. Because it is unconscious, there can be a real lack of clarity in the areas of life where Pisces falls on the house cusp. Like, I don't know, let's say you've got Pisces on the second house cusp. There might be some lack of clarity as to what your values are, what your resources are, how much money you have, or what you should do with your money and your resources, or what have you, you know. If you have Pisces ruling the fourth house, there may be a lack of clarity about home and family. There might be things about those notions that you don't really understand. So finding more clarity in the house that Pisces is on the cusp of in the chart, and any planets that fall in Pisces is usually a good way to go. Again, not universal. You might be looking at a chart of somebody that, you know, has total clarity in those areas of life where Pisces is on the house cusp, or with those planets that are there in Pisces. But I do tend to find that they're not universal, but that there does oftentimes tend to be a lack of clarity with Pisces energy. There can also be a fantasy or escapism quality to Pisces energy. Pisces is really dreamy. So sometimes it might express itself in a dreamy or unrealistic or in a fantasy kind of way. That can be great for creativity, but not so great if you have actual shit you need to take care of, you know, in those areas of life. Just depends on the whole chart as to how it, you know, how this actually plays out. Pisces energy also can kind of it can be kind of selfless. Because Pisces energy it is very like oneness. It does want to express itself that way. So there is kind of a selfless quality about Pisces. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with being selfless at all, but it can become a problem when it veers off into martyrdom. Sometimes Pisces energy will express itself that way. It can, not always, but it can. So like the house cusp that Pisces is on, you might feel like, if you feel like you're very selfless in those areas, make sure that doesn't veer off into being a martyr in those areas. Same thing with any planets that fall there in Pisces. So there are more on this card. I'm going to go and stop here. but yeah. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can find us on Instagram. We are at Let's Fuck with Astrology. I am at Saturn Season Astrology on Instagram. Natalie is at Abaturno Astrology on Instagram. If you're watching this on Instagram, you can find us on YouTube at Let's Fuck with Astrology by searching that in the search bar. If you do the Reddit thing, you can find us on the subreddit, Let's Fuck with Astrology. And if you're interested in the star cards, you can go to letsfuckwithastrology.com/star-cards. Okay, everybody. I'll see y'all later.